President. It's bottom of the 420th inning. So there's a crack in the bat. It's hit. He's running. He's rounding first. He's rounding second, completely ignoring third base. Oh, he's sliding head first into 69th base with Doug Mellard.
Yo, what up? Welcome to 69th Base, the podcast where I, your host, Doug Mellard, rip apart the credibility of idiots like Skip Bayless that think they know what they're talking about in the sports world each and every week. Got a fun show for you. David Huntsberger, my good pal, is going to be rejoining me. We're going to talk about everything crazy that happened in the playoffs. The nutty Chiefs-Texans game. The Titans with the upset. Niners dominate. Seattle is out after Green Bay takes it to them in a close game. Also, what's up with Marshawn Lynch after the playoffs? Jimmy Johnson is inducted in the Hall of Fame. Do press conferences matter? Antonio Brown is still crazy. We're going to start a couple new rumors and much, much more. I also got a really wild party story for you, so get ready for that. And as always, I just got to start off by saying that, guys, I went skydiving last year for my wife's birthday. I don't know how that works out. I didn't want to go. I was terrified the moment she told me. She actually told me after a couple drinks one night, and I was like, yeah, okay, thinking you're just saying that and you're going to forget this and I can go back to not being terrified. But she remembered it and she stood by it. It wasn't just a whimsical spur of the moment idea. She followed through with it. And as soon as she booked it, we had like a month. I was scared every day until we went. And anyway, I was better for it. She was right. I was glad I conquered a fear, I guess. I don't know if I conquered a fear. I would still be terrified to go again. But I have a fear of heights and anxiety issues. It was fun in parts, but also very scary. But when we got there, one of the instructors told us this story about somebody he jumped with that, when you go tandem, obviously you have a professional strapped to your back, and that person, this one random dude just vomited into the air. And of course, the way you're set up and you're strapped to that person, the vomit just went straight, all of it, just this long, gallons of vomit just straight into the face of the instructor. And guys, I would rather be that instructor. And I think they do 8 to 10, 12 jumps a day. I would rather do the 12 jumps a day all week, every week for a year with vomit just constantly in my face for every jump into my mouth. I don't care. I would rather have that than to be the dinner guest of one Skip Bayless. And we can all agree on that, I think. Just putting it out there. Guys, got a fun show. Everybody, get ready. Here comes the guest. And I'm here with David Huntsberger. Welcome back, buddy. Thanks for being on.
Yeah, you know it. Am I the highest
repeated
number of recurring episodes? I think it's my third or fourth time.
Yeah, I think you're probably the most frequent guest.
You always want that credit where it says frequently on,
69th base. Yep, that's the credit you want.
Why not? It's a fun podcast.
No, it's just such a weird thing to have 69 just assigned to your name as a credit in any way.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, so I watched the Niners game with you. You're a Niners fan.
Yeah.
And,
you were a gentleman. I let you wear your stupid ass Cowboys hat in my home.
I did wear it. You did say before I came over it was a red out.
Yeah.
And I did not know what that meant. And I was like, red out. And I was like, I almost texted you, what the hell's a red out?
Yeah.
And then I didn't want to sound stupid. So I was like, and I was in a hurry to get over here. And then I was like, I thought that had something to do with where the game was being telecast.
Oh.
And then I was like, I'll ask him when I get there. And then I show up and I'm not wearing red. That's what you meant. And I was like, well, yeah, I wouldn't have done that anyway. That's stupid. And then he gave me shit for wearing a Cowboys hat. And I was like, well, what the fuck? I'm not going to wear a Niners hat.
But I mean, if the Cowboys were in the playoffs, would I wear Niners gear to your home? Doubtful. Would I disrespect your home?
And I think it was in the spirit of the NFL. I just wore my team's,
The thing that sucks about it is that they were so dominant that if you wore it back again, I couldn't say, get that out of here. Because I'm like, it's kind of good luck.
Yeah, true.
It did. It was great for them.
I was going for the Vikings. I didn't think they had a chance. So
they didn't.
And So that's me. I'm 0 for 2 rooting for the Vikings in this home because I was rooting for them 2 years ago when they played the Eagles. When the Eagles went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah, we had kind of a party here. That was fun.
Yeah,
people were doing chants, Eagles people. It was
Yeah,
driving me
yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
I was like, not
Oh, yeah,
in my
Trey
home.
was here. Olivia was here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were going nuts doing those chants, and I was like, you can be in my home, but you can't chant. And they just blatantly ignored me and did those chants.
I was getting very upset because I really wanted to. But they beat the Patriots, so that's generally who I'm going for is whoever beats the Patriots.
That's true.
So.
Yeah. I do remember that. I wasn't that invested then. I was real down on football then because the Niners were so terrible. But I was thinking,
they're
like,
back.
Case Keenum. I never could get into him because when he was here with the Rams, I think this was on one of those, like, training camp shows. He went into one of the LA radio stations, and he made a joke to the DJ and kind of did a nod, tongue out, wink combo. It was very Texas, like, yep.
Wow.
And it really soured me on him.
Okay, Skeeto. Oh, that's a guy Skip Bayless says is to be feared. Case Keenum. When we played the Washington this year, he built Case Keenum up like, I wouldn't say, because whatever team he's against, he has to build up whoever.
Yeah.
It could be like Josh Johnson is back, from the dead.
He always comes back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he does. So, yeah, your Niners put the beat down on the Vikings. That was honestly the most boring game, but I guess for you guys, not so boring.
It reminded me a little bit of the Harbaugh era where he used to say, they'd get those 4 and 8 minute drives, especially in a game where it was kind of like, okay, it's 17-6. So if the other team gets the ball back, they can make it interesting here. And then you just slowly drive down, and a lot of running plays. And especially if you punch it in and then it's 24-6, it just deflates the other team. And he would always be like, grinding the meat, pounding the meat. And it felt exactly like that. It felt like the Vikings were just sort of, I don't know. We didn't talk about this on the show, but the NFL is really just a rest game in a lot of ways. A team with 13 days off versus one that has just played the week before in a hard playoff game that technically went into overtime for at least a drive.
Yeah.
And then, is that right? No, I'm thinking of Seattle.
The Niners seem to be the only team to benefit from rest. It felt like Houston or KC.
Yeah, they came out slow.
They came out slow, and then Baltimore obviously got beat down. But the biggest thing that stuck out to me with the Vikings game, Dalvin Cook, nine attempts. That's crazy.
But how many times could you give it to him?
I think more than, because for a while I think he got too late. So 7 attempts, like that's great. Like the guy that brought you to where you are, and you're just gonna give up.
Well, you and I were talking about that before the game, that, if you're playing video games and someone's up on you like 17-0, even if it's now into the third quarter and you just keep running, especially if they're playing like a nickel kind of, we're just going to limit you to big plays, and you break off a run 10 or 15 yards. It gets a little tougher when you're in the red zone, but you can kind of establish a running game. And then even video games, I think, have this in the algorithm where if you've started to establish the run, it's almost like they understand that it takes a toll on the defensive line.
Right.
So they can't suddenly be like, all right, we're changing it up, we're subbing in. The mentality of your offensive lineman is there, like, oh, we finally got some push on them.
Yeah.
So I guess I was surprised, but he was getting nothing.
Yeah. No, he was, but I still feel like, look at who, Tennessee. Oh, it's that creepy ass ice cream. I don't know if you can hear that through the mics, but there's a crazy ice cream truck that for sure sells drugs that comes
January, 7:30 p.m. Come get some ice cream.
Yeah. Wink. Case Keenum wink. But yeah, he was getting nothing, but I feel like, I don't know. You got to, look at Tennessee. Derrick Henry, just give him the fucking ball.
Yeah.
He's the guy that brought him there. Keep it going. Like, you can't give Kirk Cousins after, we were talking about it, like Kirk Cousins after the one game, it felt like so many announcers and analysts were like, well, there you go. Monkey's off his back. Kirk he's done it. Yeah. And it's like he did it one time. What's the weird stat? It was like 3
There are too many of them.
Yeah, it's like 3 and 30 versus winning teams or something crazy.
Yeah, but then it's not like there's a 0 at the front of that statistic. He has done it before.
Yeah.
So it's not like he needed to, he crested that hill. Now it's all downhill and we're going to see the great cousins. It was just every now and again he does make, because those throws were great.
He's not horrible. He's just not the guy that's going to do it.
Yeah.
But hey, it was,
but that would have been a perfect skip game if he was coming in after the game where he made those throws, because you definitely feel like, okay, he's proven he can do it, and then he proved he can do it at least once.
Right.
And they're playing in a dome, so they're playing like in a pleasant. Where was that? Did they host a game? No, they were the 6th seed, and they played. Let's see. Seattle played.
I think probably really wants the Niners to lose because that enforces that Garoppolo is not good. And he wants Brady to be right in every instance, and he was right to get Garoppolo out of there and all that stuff.
Does he at least acknowledge that? Because that rumor has been perpetuated so much, and Belichick's never denied it, that the ownership kind of said, hey, man, and that's such a baby move by Brady.
Absolutely.
I want to play till I'm 45. Why is this guy still here?
Yeah.
And so the ownership's like, hey, it's making him
and that hurts your team, because what if, even if you're in your prime, what if you get injured? Like when Matt Castle came in, you want your what if you're out for 4 weeks? You want a guy to fucking carry the team so you can still make it to the playoffs so you can get in. That's dumb.
Love if we get, and this gets said all the time about any drama in sports. Oh, I hope down the road there's a 30 for 30. We likely won't care by then, but it would be nice to hear.
No, I think it'll be like if we were to get the real facts on the Kennedy assassination or something, Dude,
the Jordan Bulls documentary that's coming out in June. I'm pretty excited. And the Reinsdorf kind of saga of one final ride. Everyone kind of knew Phil Jackson was going to be gone, Jordan would be gone, and no one knew why. It just felt like it's time to change it.
Yeah.
This doesn't feel like that for the Patriots, but kind of. It kind of feels like they are ushering in the end of this era.
Yeah.
Which is so good for every other team. Right? Doesn't it just kind of feel like, oh, good, they're not in it.
Yeah.
And then if they're back next year, that'll.
And I hate the Dolphins, but for any fan of any of those other teams in the AFC East, it just that would be the worst. Like that would have to be such a relief to be any of those. What was Joe Burrow? The championship game is on in the background. I see Joe Burrow on a bike. Is he hurt or is he just keeping? Oh, it's just halftime. Smash Mouth, they think is going to perform. It's going to be great. Before we dive too much more into this, I always tell a story and stuff. I didn't know if it was okay. I asked you if we could talk about it. I don't know why it wouldn't be okay, but and we'll try to keep it kind of short so we can just jump in and get back to watching the game. And you guys, I was about to say the listeners can keep watching the game as if it's in real time. The vodka is strong. But there was a time where we doing like a benefit, right?
Yeah,
at Cap City Comedy Club.
Yeah, Chad was headlining, I was middling, and then I don't feel like you were hosting. You were just popping. I think you were at the Velveeta room or something.
I think I was hosting the shows.
Oh,
no,
really?
I think I was on the benefit and
the shows.
I think so.
I remember you there the whole time, but it always felt like you had time to leave and go do stuff because you went and got your Sega and stuff like that.
I probably just went to do that just to do that. Yeah, just to. Because
I remember we showed up. And it was like a Thursday.
Yeah, because I think I asked to be on the show. So Chad Daniels, hilarious dude, best guy, was headlining. You were middling.
Yeah.
I think I begged to get on because I was just like,
oh yeah,
it was just a fun trio.
Yeah. I don't remember it's so weird to have a week of comedy and you're like, I don't remember any of the comedy.
Nope.
I remember us having a ton of fun. And Chad was a real pro because that day. When we got there 11. It was a really early benefit.
I think 9 or 10. I think the event was at 10 or 11. I'm pretty positive.
They had finger sandwiches. We got no money, but Margie was like, "We'll give you guys drinks if you want, if you come in early."
She was in a good mood. She was drinking and she was having
Mark was there. We were having and I don't even think we might have started with Bloody Marys and then it just turned into vodka sodas, and Mark when we were done with the benefit, we were already at maybe noon, not in great shape.
Yeah.
Not a lot of food. And Mark was like, can we keep this going? And I remember Margie kind of looking around and being like, all right, but be careful. This seems to me like the vestiges of what comedy used to be.
Yeah.
Just this chaotic. My friends would drop me off when I was visiting like Portland, and I'd invite them out to shows for the Bridgetown Festival. And then I'd be like, we'd go out and hang out, and then they had to go home, to their wives. And I'd be like, I'm going to go to this after party. And they'd drop me off at 2:30 and it would just be like roaring. And then, or maybe they'd drop me off earlier, like midnight. And the next day they'd be like, how long did it go? And I'm like, I left at 4:30 a.m. and it was still just raging. And they were like, man, comedians, no one talks about how they're like, you only hear about the rock and roll world. But Margie said it was okay. We all kind of like, great. I think you went and got your video, like the Sega.
Yeah, I got my Sega Genesis.
We sat in that little ass green room, and Mark just so happy every time he brought back a tray of fresh vodka sodas. More people kept piling in. It was like an all-day party we were hosting.
Yeah.
Sega all day. And then there must have been some food at some point, but I don't remember it.
Nope.
And then I just remember like, hey guys, we're going to open the doors in like 20 minutes. And all of us being like, oh boy.
Did we have 2 shows that night?
Yes.
Yeah. God.
So it
damn
wasn't a
it.
Thursday. It was a Friday because we made it through the first one and it was like, go do your set, get off stage, go right back to having drinks and playing video games. And so Chad was so bummed out because he had to do the longest set, and you and I were just like hot, playing Tecmo Bowl. And then I remember after walking off stage the second show, I mean, I really was like barely keeping it on track. Like I had my
I feel
set.
like the sets were okay though. Like
My set was
nobody got in
great.
trouble or anything.
No,
Like,
no. I
we
remember
kept it professional.
I got kind of like 2 little kids in a trench coat. I remember with about 5 minutes to go in the late show, I looked over and I could see this couple kind of like arched eyebrows, like, what's going? And I'm just, they were probably just watching the show, but
Yeah.
I was they know I'm high.
In your head, yeah.
Yeah, I just felt like they knew. And then I started kind of getting off schedule or whatever you'd call it, like off track with what I was talking about. And then I saw the light and was like, oh, good. And I remember just being like, all right, thanks. And I really feel like the moment I stepped off stage, I kind of allowed myself to sort of black out. Yeah. Because I don't.
Allowed yourself.
I just feel like I was really holding it together until then. Like, don't blow this because this will make Margie look terrible. She let us drink all day. And we really seem to have an outrageous tolerance at that point.
Yeah, no, we're a team. We're a team mentality couple of guys. We kept our shit together. We did it.
Yeah, we got through. Chad did the whole show.
That's
all
amazing.
That's incredible. And no one had any complaints.
I
or
mean,
anything.
yeah, so that's like 10. Oh my God, 10 to midnight. That's 14 hours of drinking.
Yeah. And having fun the entire time.
Yeah.
People probably listen. If people listen to a podcast on 69th base, they're probably not judging a story like
I
that.
farted into the mic. It's they like it.
But I'll bet the thing I take away from that is like you can look back on periods of your life and be like, I don't know.
I like the idea of somebody listening to 69th base judging this story. Oh, okay. This is the last time I smoked. I listened to this.
Well, I mean, come on. I like the.
And I mean, I have pictures and video of that green room.
It was bananas.
I mean, some of the stuff, like 3:00 in the afternoon, we were just in another dimension.
Yeah, the fact that it got pulled back together. If you watch some of that footage and then be like, these people went on stage and not a single comment card that night said the comics were all way too drunk.
Right, yeah.
Because I think we all just kind of did like, and go out and somehow do it. But, you look back on periods of your life and you can definitely, I should have been saving up for my 401k or doing, how many times have you had nonstop, interrupted fun for 14 hours? It was so fun. Hanging out with your friends, being like you're at camp.
Plus, I got probably 400 sacks with Bruce Matthews from the
I think
Houston
we finally
Oilers.
outlawed you from playing. You just couldn't be the Oilers anymore, or you couldn't be Bruce Matthews. So miserable.
Oh my God! You got your head went through the wall, right?
I hit the wall.
Okay.
Chad maintained that he was fake punching me, but maybe he was off balance when he did it, because he did fake punch me, but he shoved me really hard. It was like he followed through his punch and then kind of hit me with his forearm, and I was fake turning away to duck it. And so I kind of turned, and then his shove just blasted me into the door.
I'm sure it was all supposed to be fake, but with that much alcohol, like nothing is.
If you watch the video, it looks like I'm instantly concussed.
Yes. Oh, and that's the day of the infamous rye bread analogy. I don't even know what that was about. It was
That's
the
terrifying.
drunkest I've ever seen people.
Yeah.
I wonder if the time stamp is on there of what time of day that was, where you were making an analogy about me being bread for no reason.
Yeah.
It made no sense.
I think I had recently learned something, and I don't remember any of this, and or if any of this can be substantiated, but I feel like I had learned something about dough and yeast rising times of
Right, of
bread,
course.
and you're really short. And for some reason, I was maintaining that you're like rye bread, but I wasn't. And maybe rye bread doesn't rise as fast as a dough or the yeast in it. None of that seems accurate. But I was like just standing there going, regular bread. Here's little Dougie. I'm rye bread. Oh, I'm done. That seemed to go on for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Of people like, what? Dougie, rye bread, you, regular bread.
I'm just recording, laughing my ass off. I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, yeah, sure, buddy.
Doug rye
I'm
bread.
going to keep filming this. It's going to be great when we're 40.
Maybe there were not comment cards because people thought it was like performance art.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we did so. I would love to see video of how badly we really did. What if
I
we were
still
awful?
have stacks of mini
yeah.
DVDs.
That was fun that night. We were like popping them in, and then it was just like a lottery.
Yeah, my
Like,
DVD player gave out, though. I have stacks of DVDs. I thought that the mini DVD recorder would take off in technology. Mm-hmm. It was good for about 3 days. And but I have stacks of these mini DVDs from this recorder. And I found them recently. And, man, I really want to see what all's... There's a lot of gold on there.
Oh, yeah. Just great times of
Gotta
being
bring them
young
by.
and
Keep
stupid.
forgetting to bring them by. Yeah, a lot of that.
Yeah, I've got a DVD player, man.
Yep. There was one video of I was watching my friend Mindy's goldfish or beta fish or whatever when she was out of town. She lived in the apartment directly below me, basically. And I did this. It died under my watch. I fucking forgot, I think, that I was watching the fish.
Yeah.
And I felt so bad. She didn't care. It was fine. But poor fish. And but I I did a reenactment of how the fish died. And the reenactment is me waking up and then going to like feed the fish and seeing a suicide note from the fish in the bowl.
Oh, I remember this video.
Yeah, and then I walk away and then I'm totally nude. Or like it just shows my ass. And like for no reason. It's so ridiculous. Anywho, let's get into some football. Man, good Lord. It's crazy that we have stacks of... That was a lot of nights back in the day. It's so crazy.
Yeah. It's fun
I mean,
to...
not every night. I don't want people to think
Yeah,
that was like
no.
every fucking night.
Because I had to work at that club a lot. And so it wasn't like I could maintain it every night. It just, I don't think you have to do something all the time for it to seem like you did all the time. There are probably people who were like, remember we played all that golf? I'm like, we played twice a month.
Yeah,
it's just a lot like in comparison to when you look back at it. But it would be
In
little
comparison to now, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. To really put together like a Thursday.
Although we're going to drink until your flight. It's going to be fucking awesome, bro. All right, let's get into the worst takes of the week. Well, I just usually I kind of lean heavy on Skip, but I kind of want to lean heavy on the actual football because it is the playoffs. So let's just get into it. Tennessee versus Baltimore. That was easily the biggest upset. That was insane.
But our buddy Eric that was over was
he was kind of calling it.
He said he listened to a guy that was a Vegas dude pointing out, and it wasn't necessarily analytic stuff. It was the history of betting that teams that win X number of games, that rest their starters, that also have a bye, are blah, blah, blah versus the spread and or versus just straight up.
Right.
And it did feel so similar to those Peyton Manning teams or even some of the Green Bay teams that would go 14-2, 15-1, rest their guys the last week, have a bye, come out, get throttled. Because there is something to be said for if everyone's banged up and you're just playing and playing and playing and you don't really know what it feels like to rest.
Right.
you're hardened, you're tough. And the
Yeah.
teams that get a little soft, it kind of felt like the Ravens were just a little soft.
Yeah, Tennessee was kind of in playoff mode for like 6 weeks.
Yeah. And a
And-
tough running playoff mode. It wasn't
Yeah.
like they were the old school, like Warren Moon, fun and gun. It was like, we're going to pound it with a dude that's like, why aren't people making more comparisons to the Christian Okoye era? He's as
yeah.
big, right? He's so ferocious. He's huge.
Yeah, but he didn't have the numbers that Henry is putting up. I don't know I don't think he had like crazy big seasons.
The Nigerian
I think he did all
Nightmare
right.
was
I
sort of
think-
like George Murison of the NBA or something, where
Yeah.
it was like, because he was so big, we all knew who he was.
Yeah.
But Derrick Henry has
And
these-
he's also great on Tecmo Bowl.
yeah, like virtually unstoppable. Yeah, but Derrick Henry, he gets talked about like, oh, he's a good running back, but people aren't. There's not a cool nickname. There's not like
Yeah.
he's such a giant.
Skip Bayless has a cool nickname.
Ah,
He says he is the moose that runs like a deer.
oh, that's pretty good.
He keeps saying it, and he thinks it's really
It
clever.
rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, it's real great.
Oh, you guys watching Moose that runs like a deer? That guy's
He
pretty
actually picked Tennessee, and it bothered me that he was correct about that because it was weird. There were some analysts kind of picking that, but I just thought there was no way. Like I think you and I were both on the same.
100%.
And even the whole game, it wasn't like the Vikings in San Francisco where it felt like Baltimore is still in this. They got Lamar Jackson. Until the very end. I was like, all right, Lamar's just going to pull this out. He's going to figure it out, but never happened.
They did that thing, last year. What was it? The Chargers that beat them, and they put him
right.
in. But he didn't have. He had Crabtree. He just didn't have the weapons he has
Yeah.
now. Now with the big fast
And
tight
he wasn't
ends
as good a thrower, and his numbers were great. Like he put up a lot.
Yeah,
It
360
was-
yards
yeah.
passing.
And Ingram went down.
Yeah, but it was on like 49 attempts or something.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, he was like 50% or less, I think. The craziest thing I thought was Tannehill in my head had 300 yards.
Oh,
He
yeah.
had 80.
Yeah, because he
88,
made that
something like
one great throw, and it just felt like, oh, he's been ripping him up.
Yeah.
But it was just, it's kind of nice.
That
like,
one deep throw was half of his yardage, probably.
they're like the 2000 Ravens with just a worse defense.
Yeah.
They have, and the Ravens didn't have a running game like that. But what I mean by that is that they relied on Dilfer to make like 2 throws a game,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
a lot of times wouldn't.
Yeah.
And then the defense would overcome that. But Tannehill gets asked to like, we need you to hit one here, and he
Right.
makes some really tough throws.
I think he had some better or statistically better games during the season, but
Yeah.
during the playoffs, he has not done anything. But they don't need him to.
Yeah, it's not like his numbers are like 12 of 30 for 80 yards.
Right.
What's he dropping back and throwing like under 20 times a game?
Yeah.
They're really running it. It's what
I think
everyone
he
thinks
had like
they want to
8
do.
passes or something. Like it was something
Really?
crazy. Yeah,
That wouldn't
like
shock me because looking back at the game, it's not like, when you get a sense of a quarterback, like, damn, that's another incomplete. How many in a row is that? It just felt like because when he did throw it, it went well. You're like, man, this guy's shredding him. But then it was, like under a dozen.
Do you think at all that this tarnishes Jackson in any way?
2 years in, you've lost a total of 4 games as a starter.
Right.
No, not at all.
Thank you.
It takes
I
guys
think
forever.
I think the media is trying to like make that a thing, and they're like, "Well, we'll see what he does in the playoffs next year." It's nothing.
Yeah, they create those narratives, and sometimes they
Exactly.
stick. But he's too young. He's too good, and he's one of those guys. Even if he didn't win it, say next year they get in and he plays great, but there's some turnovers from other guys, or a
Right.
kicker misses something. They just can't win in the playoffs. And you would go, he threw for 400 yards and ran for 80. You can't do much more than that as a
Right.
single player. This game wasn't that different. He threw for 360 and ran for, 70, 60, something like that.
Oh no, I thought it was like 100. By the way, Tannehill 14 attempts, 7 of 14, so he was
Wow.
50%. I thought he was like 80% for 300 yards, 18 touchdowns. That's what it felt like. Lamar Jackson had 143 rushing yards,
That's a crazy game. He had
and
like
he had
400.
365 passing yards,
So he had 500 total yards by himself.
almost 600.
There, as a team, they outgained them by 230 yards.
Yeah.
No team had ever lost doing. They were
So
30 and
crazy.
0. Yeah,
Gotta hand it to Tennessee though. Happy for Mike Vrabel. Good Lord, that's insane.
that is pretty nuts.
And let's move on to Houston, KC. That was maybe obviously the weirdest game of the weekend.
That was the Twitter game. Because I didn't see it. When I finally turned it on, it was, I think, 24-6, and then the valves all broke, and it just started going nuts.
I was at the gym getting jacked when it was like 21-0, I think. And then I was texting Mikey from the show. He's a Texans fan, and we both felt really good. It was weird, though, because I was going for the Texans, but I love Mahomes. I love watching him. I like that Lamar and Mahomes are going to be, they're about the same time, same age. They're going to be at it for the next 15 years maybe. That's great for the NFL.
They should have referred to that as the Trubisky game, because the Bears passed on both those guys that were playing in that game to get Mitch Trubisky, which is just so it was weird then, and it's still weird now that happened.
Stupid. So
stupid. And who knows what
to
you're
go
looking
on
at.
potential.
Right. This guy hasn't played much.
He played 9 games, I think.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So stupid. And then both of those guys, and not that we knew who Mahomes was, because Texas Tech, and he was real scattery with the ball and kind of erratic and turned it over and made, bizarre throws just to show off his arm. But Deshaun Watson, we kind of knew.
Yeah.
There were a few knocks, he makes some weird interceptions there and again, but when you need it, and that's what's so frustrating to watch him in Houston, is when he can't get it to Hopkins, he just has to roll around, escape sacks in the most insane ways. And he's not quite Russell Wilson in that way. He can make amazing plays, but not time and again to where you're like, wow, they're winning. You go, wow, they're in this game. That's pretty good. But not, oh, wow, they're winning. Whereas Mahomes, he's done that a number of times now where they're losing, and then it just feels like he goes, all right, enough of this.
Yeah.
I'm going to get 5 touchdowns in a quarter.
I really think it was just rust. I think they had the buys and then, and then he, second half, they turned it on.
Yeah, they did.
Could be KC versus San Francisco. It's going to be nuts. That was another game, unlike, again, San Francisco, where it felt like as soon as KC scored the first touchdown, the way the crowd reacted, it's notoriously crazy to play at Arrowhead.
Yeah.
The way they reacted, the way the team reacted.
That's why I was saying they should call it the Twitter game, because the way the world reacted. Andy Reid can't win. Here's playoff Andy. Here's, everyone's piling on all these memes of here's Andy Reid in the playoffs. Yeah. And it's him being, Shaq with the Celtics or something.
Oh, no. I was going to say, once they scored, the way it looked like they were we're right back in this, even though they were down 14 points.
No,
I'm
saying,
no, more than that. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm saying that, the same thing that everyone had written them off because they were down.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And I think that's just such a. Twitter is just every person has the opportunity to be a Skip Bayless. Yeah. Here's my take. I called it. I said Houston was going to win. And then you just go, sit back. It's still the second quarter. And then when they roar it, I felt like Bill O'Brien gets a rough rap at times, and sometimes he doesn't get enough shit because he always is in games like that. Yeah. He's just in weird sort of, how'd you lose that one? Or, whew, you won that one, but it shouldn't have been that difficult. And I felt like there was almost like a basketball coach mentality there where he should have been like, dude, on this play, pretend to be hurt.
Right.
Let's just get this crowd quiet.
Yeah.
Just lay there for a bit. Let's take a timeout if we need to and get the crowd out of this. Because when that dude's returning that kickoff and it bounces straight to the guy on the Chiefs, that was the end of the game. That was it. And if you're Bill O'Brien at that point, what do? Do you say, hey, just let this one go out of the back. We're going to bring our offense out. Even if we go 3 it out, we're going to run it and not fumble. We're going to punt to them and quiet this crowd a bit. But instead, the guy runs it out. It's an immediate turnover, and then the wheels are off. Just the game is completely over.
Skip picked Houston, by the way, because he is really dug into he doesn't like Mahomes. He thinks he's not very good.
What?
And he thinks Watson is way better. I think Watson is very good. I like him. He's been in a lot of pressure situations going back to college, but he's not better than Mahomes. And I think it's just stubborn old manness where he's literally said stuff along the lines of Patrick Mahomes with his no-look passes, it's shit like that. And he did you see the little touchdown where he kind of side, I don't even know what to call that.
Left his leg behind him dragging so he wouldn't be over the line.
And Skip, of course, said he was over the line. But yeah, he picked Houston and backfired. That was good. He did pick Tennessee, so that's bad. But
I just
there's
don't
no
get
way
why-
you take Watson over Mahomes. Mahomes and Jackson right now are the two guys, and Watson's up there for sure.
Yeah.
The AFC is going to be fucking loaded because
Yeah.
on top of that, the Dolphins are going to get some high draft pick. Cincinnati, like they're going to be loaded with all the big quarterbacks for the next 20 years.
It's weird that the next class coming in, Lamar Jackson really stands out as the only version of him.
Oh yeah,
There's a lot of like Tua Tagovailoa, is that how you say it?
I think so.
Not the most mobile, can move a little bit. They're all kind of
Right.
like Mahomes can scramble, but he's not. He's a pocket guy.
Yeah.
He's just like he's as athletic as you'd want. Like he's
But he can,
Garoppolo-esque.
he's mobile though. He can make plays on the run. for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Garoppolo doesn't throw it on the run as well as him, but he can get out and move around. He can
Yeah.
scramble for a first down. I feel like that is
Kirk Cousins, he's a guy. 61 rushing yards or whatever in his season.
the whole season. So maybe guys like him and Rivers are kind of going away, and it's turning into now like Burrow even can scramble a little bit.
Yeah,
But there's no one that's Lamar Jackson or like Michael Vick was, where
No.
it's just this insane explosion out of the pocket.
1,200 rushing yards. Good
yeah,
Lord.
for a quarterback.
Seattle, Green Bay. I'll be honest, I did not get to catch as much of that as I wanted to. I was at
I
a
didn't
party,
either.
so I was like in and out. I left at one point to just go watch like 3 minutes. I was at a party across the street from me.
I was
So I-
making the posters for the Junk Show, so I just kind of had it on Yahoo Sports on my phone, just in the background.
Yeah,
But I wasn't really paying attention. Every now and again, I'd hear a, "Hey, cool
it's a
it."
good. Our dogs are going nuts over here.
So I would check in when I heard like, "Oh wow, what a play!" and I'd watch a replay or something. And I should have been really into that one because
Yeah,
the
it's who you're
winner
gonna
that's
play,
who you're
yeah,
going to play. But
the Niners.
I've seen enough of both of those teams, just just in general.
I'm sure you hate Seattle.
Yeah. Just unmercifully. I just hate them.
It's weird though. The Seahawks. It started out. It looked like it was going to be a Green Bay blowout. The Seahawks are a team where you just don't count them out. But this felt like a team all year that was gonna get to exactly where they ended up because it was like they were lacking in something. I can't even tell you what it
Yeah.
is. But then once they're two running backs, like Chris Carson had a killer year.
Yeah.
He goes down. Their backup goes down. Then they're fucked. You know.
It was I think people in Seattle had the most Midwest season they could have, which is Midwesterners. A lot of their teams don't win championships because collectively they put this energy into the atmosphere that's like, I don't think we'd be lucky if we. And that's kind of how Seattle was this year. It wasn't the blind sort of unrelenting positivity they normally have. It was kind of this, dude, our offensive line isn't great. Our receivers are untested. We got a rookie that's starting in Metcalf.
Yeah.
Who knows if he's going to be good? Our defense has totally changed. We don't have much in the secondary, but we have Russell Wilson. And then they win all these games early on by other teams missing field goals at the last second, things that, they easily could have been 3-6. And they were instead, 8-2 or something like that. And then you go, that's weird. So all of Seattle fans, every game, were like, who we really are is 3-6. But what if we keep this up?
Right.
And then there was a period I felt where they were going to flip. Like if they had beaten Green Bay, I think fully they would have been like, we're the best team. We just have something about us. And it wouldn't have been that crazy because if you just stick around in every game, teams that should blow you out and for whatever reason they settle for a field goal or
the Giants that beat the Patriots, like with the crazy stuck to the helmet throw, like that was just meant to be.
Yeah, what were they? 9-7, 10-6. They were.
I thought they were 7-9, maybe 9-7.
But something where it was
It was
just
something
like,
crazy. They shouldn't have been there.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably not 7-9. But that Skip, of course, said Rodgers had nothing to do with the win because Aaron Rodgers is terrible at football.
That third down throw to basically ice it was just nuts. Not ice it, but give them some breathing room. That's one of those where he hasn't done that all year. He hasn't been Aaron Rodgers where he just is aggressive, makes an audible, believes in himself, throws a throw that no one else would make in that moment.
Right.
Throwing it deep, like safety coming over, gets there just a little late. The dude catches it. And you're like, that was 3rd and 1. If Seattle gets it there, they have 2 timeouts. They're on the other side of the 2-minute warning. Everything's lining up for them to just steal a victory and everyone go, how? And then Rodgers does that. And I felt like both those teams are kind of similar in that way where like maybe every NFL team has some laps.
Yeah.
And that's why like the Chiefs at their best maybe don't. Their defense had a few good games at the end of the year. Obviously the offense is amazing. The Niners had a couple glimpses throughout the season where like every single facet of the game was amazing.
Yeah.
Overall, every team really never gets that throughout the season, and certainly they don't sustain it the whole time. They just have an off game. But the Packers don't seem to have that. The Seahawks didn't seem to have. It's always like, how is this team winning? Because they have, they don't have this.
Yeah. Well, he definitely doesn't think Aaron Rodgers is a reason, and he also thinks that now that Rodgers won, he doesn't give him any credit, but he says that because people say he's so good. Like that's a claim that an outlandish claim.
This year, Rodgers was 20th in QBR.
Yeah, no, he's not. He's definitely on the downhill slide, but he's been with that take for years.
Right.
It's crazy.
When he made that throw against you guys, any normal person would have been like,
yeah,
that was
insane.
The greatest throw maybe in NFL history.
Yeah.
And only a lunatic goes like, that was so fucking lucky.
Yeah.
This guy sucks.
And he's doubling down that Aaron Rodgers sucks because people are saying Brady is on the decline. So he has to say Rodgers is more on the decline, which is shut the fuck up. But he now says that if he's so good, then he has to beat Garoppolo, which is an unfair statement because
That's totally unfair.
the Niners have a much better team.
Well, and then
all the way
going
around.
back to what the NFL is, why do the Thursday games suck? It's not enough rest.
Yeah.
Both teams. One team has to travel on that little amount of rest. So you have a Green Bay team that, they had the bye, but they have to travel. They played Sunday, then they go to Sunday. The 49ers were Saturday, then to Sunday. So just even that one extra day of rest is an advantage.
Yeah.
Not to say that they will win or they should win, but if Green Bay loses, everyone just acts like they were placed in a vacuum when they played in a totally even situation. Going on the road is tough. Going to the West Coast is tough. Playing on a team that only has really Devontae Adams as their main threat is tough. So for him to win, it's kind of Russell Wilson-esque where like he carries the team even if he's just being like a game manager.
The rest of his receivers are like, I think all undrafted maybe?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Or very late round picks for the most part.
Speaking of which, one of my favorite things during the games, all of the games, Skip always makes it about Tom Brady somehow. So he was tweeting that what kind of season would Tom Brady have if he had Devontae Adams? What kind of season during the Packers game, obviously? What kind of season would Tom Brady have if he had Travis Kelce? Because Mahomes is so reliant on Kelce. It's like, well, first of all, he had Gronkowski for a long time.
He had Sanu. They traded a second-round pick.
Yeah.
It's if LeBron, and I know he hates LeBron, but makes Chris Bosh look less than an all-star, Kevin Love looks less than an all-star, you could make the argument there that maybe him being around them, they don't mesh well.
Right.
Brady bringing in guys like N'Keal Harry, a first-round pick, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's not an undrafted
Yeah.
guy like Rodgers has. That should, and you have to give credit to someone. So does Belichick get credit as a coach and or as a talent evaluator? Because he's the greatest of all time. So N'Keal Harry should be good. Who's good? Is suddenly Sanu terrible? N'Keal Harry's terrible. Edelman's the only good guy.
Yep. And they also had the disadvantage of Gronkowski retired kind of like in mid-March, which is a weird time to retire. And I think it was the same day that, what's the tight end for the Saints? The guy they signed. Whatever.
The old guy.
Yeah. But he had a good year.
Watson.
Yeah. And so he signed the day that they lost Gronkowski. So that's, who the fuck are you going to find at that point? But they did get rid of, I can't think of his name, but he plays for Seattle and he came on late. After their tight end got injured, he played. They traded him for like a 7th round pick, and he was Russell Wilson's like safety guy after a while. It starts with an H. Can't think of it. Shit.
48. Hollister.
Yeah. Hollister. Yeah.
Yeah.
He did well. The Patriots had him. They fucking desperately needed him. So there is a point to that. But other than that, like the flip side, and I've talked about this relentlessly the last several weeks, but Brady's whole career, other than like having Moss, he had Welker for years. His whole thing was he makes weapons out of people.
Yeah.
And so he's definitely sliding a little. It's okay.
Yeah.
We get old.
He's 42.
He's 42 playing a game that is meant for 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
So just...
And still played pretty well.
Yeah.
He played like an average quarterback. He has been one of the greatest to ever do it for a long time, and he just had a kind of an average year.
Yeah. It wasn't... Yeah. I if you look at statistics after week 3, if you take out the first 3 weeks, he was in the bottom 5 of almost everything. Yeah.
Man,
so kind of nuts.
Kellerman finally maybe got it.
Accurate. Caught up to him.
But this year he falls off the cliff.
But this all begs the question: is Skip Bayless going to die when Tom Brady retires? Do you think?
It's kind of nice that we do age out, because think of us in this era. Like, you lived through the 90s Cowboys. That seems so long ago.
Yeah.
Say you're 10 years away from the Cowboys being great again and winning 2 or 3 in a span.
Yeah.
Say McCarthy does wonders. But
Oh,
then
he
you
will.
just keep living. Say you live to be 75, you would look back on that. That's even further away from that era, which is now in the future, than it is for you to go back to the Cowboys in the 90s. So you have to keep welcoming in and keep talking about it and keep... It's nice that Skip's getting older, and hopefully the Cowboys never win in the rest of his life.
Right.
It would do him well. It would be good for him.
But not good for me. But but I can root them on to lose as long as Skip is around, I guess.
Hey, you've got a nice built-in thing where you kind of get to be like, yeah, fuck Jerry Jones. Yeah, fuck Skip.
Yeah, I win either way. I hedge my bets like he does. I don't think he's going to die when Tom Brady retires. I just think he's going to still bring him up for the next 20 years regardless. Like, everybody else will have retired from this current NFL, and he's still just, like Tim Tebow, he still brings him up. It's been, 7 years or something crazy?
It would be a nice segment to introduce to this show, I think, is marking the date and time that, we were certain he can't get any weirder.
Yeah.
He did that video where he comes out and examines a brand new, maybe it's a Amari Cooper jersey or Randall Cobb.
Dak? No.
I feel like it was one
He
of the
threw
receivers.
a Zeke jersey away.
He looks at it. He has to unfold
yeah.
it, double check who it is, throw it into his trash can that's weirdly placed in front of a microwave. You would say, he can't get any weirder than this.
That leads in perfectly to the next question. How much longer does Skip do this? Because it is going to get crazier and crazier.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
At what point, Woody Page is just, getting... I haven't listened to him in a long time, but he's so over the top, kind of out there, not making sense. At what point do you just put him out to pasture? To where it's just look, man, we loved having you on, but with Skip, it's going to get sadder and weirder. And at what point are you 86 years old and you're throwing fucking jerseys away and making your wife film it? At what point is that just too much?
Yeah.
And do people just not care anymore?
Yeah, if he still has... Because remember, this is a weird name. It took me a while the other day to think about. And he was so prevalent at one point, always talked about Bobby Bowden.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's still alive.
Wow.
But when he left Florida State and he was kind of ousted,
Right.
I could still coach. I still got it. And they were like, dude, you're old. You're pretty old, man. And I think he's still living, but he was so talked about. And he never took a job as one of the talking heads. What's that like? Because I read this article long ago for especially SEC coaches. It was all about a coach who had been pretty successful 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And now he could quietly go in and eat at a diner. And he was like, this is weird for me because I'm in the same town where before, if I were eating here, I'd be mobbed.
Yeah.
And what's it like for them to, hey, remember my takes? I know that you thought they were stupid, but does anyone want to listen? And when people just turn away and go, there's another idiot and he's younger.
Well, he's just going to turn into the guy that tweets from his basement.
Yeah.
And makes his wife still film. That's what's crazy is he will eventually, retire. I put that in quotes. He'll probably be told to just not come back. And then because of social media, he can still put himself out there.
Yeah.
People might not care as much.
But people thought that
at
about
all.
Our friend from Austin who I don't even want to say the name or the website because I just think it's ridiculous, but kind of aliens-ish and then became a political figure and was posting so much crazy stuff, like was a fucking Sandy Hook denier and got sued by all the families
Right.
there. And then everyone was like, they got to take him off Facebook. They got to take him off Twitter. And then he did enough crazy shit where both those platforms were like, all right, dude, you've like violated clearly all of our standards. You're removed. And everyone thought he's going to be as big as ever. And maybe he is. Maybe there is a small groundswell, but it'll eventually, I guess, dissipate. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the world is just filled with these like kind of incel actions, and Skip Bayless will have one.
Yeah.
He's 90 and he's back, and there's a million
But
people.
how weird will it be when he's just like let's say he's 90, and he's just like he talks real slow. Jerry Jones is still gonna get a super. Jerry Jones will still be alive for sure. It's gonna be weird. Total different subject, but I just real quick take Marshawn Lynch. It's been thrown around in the media. They're making a big deal about it. What's going to happen to Marshawn Lynch? Is he going to retire? Why is that?
I mean, you couldn't give more sage, like, who gets to double retire better than that? He does the cleats over the line the first time with a deuces sign.
Yeah.
And everyone goes, that's so Marshawn Lynch. And then they go, hey, well, the Raiders are going to move to Vegas. And he's like, man, I did kind of always want to play in Oakland.
Yeah.
And they go, come on, come play. And there's that game where they're winning and he's like headbanging on the sideline. It's the second quarter.
Yeah.
And people are like, that was pretty shitty, man. Because I think they went
And
on
he
to
rode
lose that
back on the
game.
subway at one point with some Oakland fans. Did you see that?
I think that was the game he got kicked out of.
Yeah,
Gets
that's
kicked
still
out.
So cool.
And
I love that guy.
He snuck back into the stadium to watch from like one of the boxes.
Oh, yeah.
Rode home on the subway that night. Just became like a legend within.
Yep.
And he was already a king of Oakland anyway.
Yeah.
And your boy Josh Johnson, who's his cousin.
Yeah. Oh,
So
wow,
like,
I didn't know that.
and the NFL, I think, is so weird where people who become friends, you just assume like stars are friends with stars. But Josh Johnson's like a fringe roster guy, third stringer for 10 years.
Yeah.
Friends with everybody.
Yep.
So him and Marcus Peters and Marshawn Lynch start a foundation in Oakland that's really doing great. That's really like changing lives and so I
That's
think
badass.
it's fucking great. And I think Marshawn Lynch is going to go on to do a lot of that. And I felt like, so the second retirement, which is what it was,
Yeah.
I think he knew, like, I only got called back because every single running back was unavailable. I knew the system. There's history here.
Yeah.
They genuinely brought him back because it was against San Francisco in Seattle for the number 1 seed. You just bring him in on 4th and 1, which they did, and he scores a touchdown from the 1 yard line.
Yep.
Was enough to like, okay, we went to 110 in the decibels of the sound scale here. I think if that can't carry us to victory, we're not going to win. And they didn't win. Fuck them. But so his second retirement, being able to just kind of like lean on a podium, and he's done enough media to know when you can and cannot cuss.
Yeah.
And he goes, you can do whatever the fuck you want. and the media sitting there, like the reporters are watching going like, no one's going, ooh, or, hey, Marshawn, you can't say that. They're just enraptured. Like all of
Yeah.
them are listening going, so why do you say that? Because, man, you got to take care of your mentals, take care of your physical, take care of your chicken, which I had to look up. That means money. That's
Yeah.
a new one. When did that show up?
Oh, scratch, I guess. Chicken scratch.
Oh, okay. Why would you add
I
extra
just got
syllables?
that.
Why would you
We're
change
old.
scratch to chicken? But I thought that was great. Like such a sage-like way to
Yeah.
be like, if I could just talk to all these young dudes in the locker room, here's what I'd say. It's not even about, get your head up. It's a game. You'll get back and win. Yeah, of
Yeah.
course you want to win. That's all part of it. But don't become Antonio Brown. Don't go crazy and lose all your money and whatever else is going to happen to him.
We'll get into Antonio here in a little bit. Moving on, Jimmy Johnson. This is a thing I just forgot about because it's so insane, I guess. I blocked it out maybe. But Jimmy Johnson, did you see his like induction thing?
Yeah.
I got teary-eyed when
You
Troy
did?
got teary-eyed. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
He was like crying.
I don't care about anything that much. Maybe I'm a psychopath, but I was like, imagine being 70 and still caring about a trophy or a jacket or
But I
something.
think it's like, I think part of it for him was because Jerry Jones fucked him, you know?
Yeah.
He could have gone on and win a couple more. I think he would have gotten that year. So he had like a little bit harder path to get to it. And I think he just really, really wanted it. But what's even crazier that I forgot about was I didn't remember that he was not a part of the Ring of Honor in Dallas. Did you know that?
Oh, yeah. That was like part of the spiting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now there's this pressure of like, all right, Jerry, when are you going to put him in? Because he skipped that lower honor, and now he's in the highest honor in football. So, Jerry, come on. But you can't, if you're Jerry, like, you just look worse if you do admit him, I think. Like, it's such a fucking weird situation. And
that'll never happen. Guys get slighted like that. It'll just never. There's such egos there, and rightfully so. You're like, dude, I own the team. Don't whatever he would do. Whether it's not inviting him to team functions or certain parts of the plane, maybe on a victory ride back. Hey guys, it was a great one. Not now. We're having a meeting. I mean, that could legitimately have happened, and all the players would have been like, "Yeah, not now."
Yeah.
And then you just have to walk back. Okay, all right. Well, we did win.
God, he sounds just like. Speaking of Jerry, Skip just talked constant shit about Mike McCarthy getting hired. Just was, and I didn't love it at first. I came around a little bit, mostly because I don't think I was gonna love anyone that he hired, because you're not gonna hire the next Sean McVay type, maybe genius guy.
Yeah.
You're just going to get a safe pick. But McCarthy was a safe, decent. Like, he's a step up from Garrett. That's what I came around to. I was like, he's better than Garrett, so it'll be fine. But Skip did not like it, hated it, talked outwardly just totally against it, made a video of him. I think it was supposed to be humor. On Instagram, him just shaking. He was like, this is me trying to get excited about the McCarthy hire, and he never says anything. And it's just him shaking his head a bunch. And I think his next post was he sees the press conference after he talked about how Jerry Jones is so slick in press conferences, always wins a press conference. And he said, oh, I'm on board. He got me. And he even admitted, he was like, maybe it's a fan of me. I didn't. I watched a snippet of the press conference. I don't care about the press conference because Bill Belichick is horrible in press conferences. Great coach.
Yeah.
None of that means anything. Yeah. It's bullshit. They're all going to say the exact right things. They're going to it's scripted, like come on. But I just thought it was so hilarious that he just fucking totally fell for it.
The NFC East with Joe Judge, Mike McCarthy,
God damn, so weird.
And Ron Rivera.
Peterson.
And then Peterson, I think I predicted them this year to win, and they did, but it was such an ugly division. Yeah. It wasn't really a win. It was just everyone else lost. But I picked them again starting right now, even with Wentz being kind of like a wild card.
Hey, man.
Just some level of continuity. And really that team, for as injured as they were and as many weird things they had happen, they fought pretty hard. They had their shots with McCown at the end of a playoff game to win. I think there's something about that continuity and like the culture involved there. The weird thing with McCarthy to me,
when they have a great owner.
Yeah, they have a good owner.
Dan Snyder, terrible owner.
Jerry Jones, bad owner.
Bad owner.
The
Giants, it's Mars.
Yeah. And the Tishes.
Yeah. It's debatable. I think they're like a generation away from the better versions of themselves, but
because Jed York, I feel, hopefully, I mean, we've seen how this year goes, learning how to be an owner, learning how to install the culture, deal with the fan base and their rabid nonsense.
Yeah.
But McCarthy had a choice between Alex Smith and Aaron Rodgers as the offensive coordinator of the 49ers. He had some input. Like, what do you think? Which is so weird that he then went on to this season where Alex Smith was dreadful and got hired as a head coach elsewhere. But that was the tree. That was like a Holmgren tree where get as many guys from that as you can. Now, where are the trees? Where are all these guys coming from?
Yeah.
McCarthy's still one of the trunks of a tree. Or he's a Holmgren guy.
Yeah.
So there aren't, Shanahan, I think, still has guys like McVay. You could kind of tie to him. LaFleur, you could kind of tie to him. But Joe Judge is a Belichick tree. That's an awful tree. It's just such a bad tree. And McCarthy says, "I'll give me Alex Smith," and then he has to go to Green Bay and sit down with Rodgers and be like, "Just so we're clear, I did choose the other guy, but I think we can work well together."
Yeah.
So like this deep seat, and some of those articles after the firing were like Rodgers never got over that. He never forgave him. So now what do you do where you go to a place where you didn't pick Dak either?
Yeah.
All right, do you have the same run of
Dak's
success?
Not as good as Aaron Rodgers.
Right. Yeah. So like if you're stuck with a guy where you're like,
Fuck,
okay,
LSU just scored again. Nope. Never mind. false alarm. Sorry.
If you have a guy like that where you go in and you get the max out of your team, your defense plays great. Dak throws for 4,500 yards, but he doesn't make those throws when you need him to. And then you go, damn, we're 10-6, and we didn't get out of the divisional round again, and the fan base is kind of bummed. But next year, and then really as fans, I would imagine everyone would go, no, it's just gonna be more of this.
Yeah.
This is gonna be like the Packers were for 12 years.
I'm hoping for the best. I'm trying to be optimistic, but
I mean, it could be Andy Reid, but Andy Reid got to go get Mahomes.
I mean, we had some decent seasons with Garrett, and I do think it's a step up, so I feel all right. All right, just got to talk about it before we get to the rumor of we started a new rumor, but be thinking about that. Antonio Brown. It's just become a segment at this point because he's always up to no good, but he released a new song. If you haven't heard it, I meant to play it for you before. I could pause it, but I'm not because I'm bad at this. But he starts out the video. It's him. He was told not to bring a posse, like a crew of any kind, to New Orleans for his tryout. He said, fuck you. He brought them. Part of that reason, I think, was for his music video. And I forgot the name of the song, but it's all him just saying, fuck you to New Orleans. So just burning yet another fucking bridge. And it starts out, he's just laughing maniacally. It ends with him laughing maniacally. It's kind of cryptic and weird. And he's basically being told to just like kind of put your head down at the beginning and like, don't worry about money. Let's just get in the game again by his agent or whoever. And he just starts laughing. It's like, why would you put that in there? And then Sean, there's a chorus that he relies heavily on. It sounds like he says Sean Payton talking about the dildo. It's real weird. Anyway, it makes no rhyme or reason. There's no rhyme or reason to it. And I also pointed out his Twitter. I put notifications on my 69th Base Twitter account. Mm-hmm. It's every 30 seconds. There's a new tweet 24 hours a day.
Wow.
It's crazy. It feels like it's just every 10 seconds there's a new tweet from Antonio Brown. Makes no sense.
Yeah, he can't spell. Punctuation is out of the mix. Yeah. And I know that Twitter kind of fosters that, but at some point you're like, this isn't cool lingo. This is
it's just
a person
gibberish.
That's just devolved into complete lunacy.
Yes. And on top of that, one thing I pointed out to you during, I think, the San Francisco game, he just has to have attention on himself. So should be watching the game. I'm sure he was, but he's jealous probably that he's not playing. Yeah. So he tweets a video of him slam dunking a basketball. Super cool. Which probably will get him back in the NFL. For sure.
If we saw a guy, and maybe we knew him from just the neighborhood, just being a Wall Street type guy, just a finance dude that we always saw with a briefcase and a 3-piece suit. And one day we saw him with Kleenex boxes for shoes, yelling at traffic. There's a lack of coherence there where he's not filming it and he's gone.
Right.
So then we can understand that break a little better to go, oh no, he needs meds. Something happened in his brain. Because Antonio Brown can film it and tweet and seem relatively with it at times, we just feel like, oh, he's just showing us who he is and he's not a great guy.
Yeah.
It's so different from that easily identifiable mental illness, and maybe it's short-sighted of us to be like, it's purely craziness. This is CTE.
Yeah.
But I would be astonished if it were not. It's just so detrimental to your future. It's so that video that was out today where he's yelling at the cops, which let's celebrate that a little bit. Yeah. He's getting to yell at cops and nothing bad's happening to him. And he's screaming at them, calling them bitch ass whatevers. And but then there's one little part where his little boy is walking along and he goes, I love you, daddy. And he stops this whole rant of filming himself, of yelling at cops to go, love you too, Boo Bear, get in the car. And then instantly screaming at the mother.
Oh my God.
Screaming at her, yelling at her. She's a fucking this. She kind of steals. She'll get your ass out of here, you bitch ass trick. Over and over and over. Yelling out to the cops, following the cops, making fun of one of the cops for being short. Just being such a crazy asshole where you're like,
you can't get arrested for that?
I was like,
Seems like
oh,
if I did
man.
that to a cop, I would go to jail.
So here's the thing. If you're driving down the street and you flip off a cop, are you allowed to do that?
No.
Yes. It's First Amendment stuff.
Wow.
You absolutely can, but I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And the thought of yelling pig or much, much worse, like in this video, but he's in a gated community and the camera is on and the cops know, like, he's just trying to bait us to get attention.
Yeah.
Just let it go.
Oof.
But brutal. It's something where, like, when you're a kid and the thought of saying, like, oink, oink, and then if you see a cop shut his door and like, what's that, young man? You're, oh, no.
Yeah. Oof.
There's just and you keep in the video expecting that to happen for one of the cops to go, what was that? And it never does. They just kind of go like, all right, man, we're not going to give you what you want right here. But he's trying as hard as humanly possible
Good Lord.
Yeah, it's crazy. I can't believe you haven't seen that.
No, I missed that somehow. Because I guess he was tweeting all day. He didn't tweet that out there. It's time for my favorite part. We start a new rumor every week.
Yeah.
If you don't have one, I can go first. Or if you don't have one, it's okay. I'll just dive in. My brother, Weston, you know Wes, a few weeks back, he started a rumor of that Skip was the reason that they outlawed bestiality, because previous to that, it was just common knowledge that you don't have sex with animals. But because of him, they were like, all right, we got to make a law about this. But what I learned just yesterday is that Skip actually gave his dog a mutated form of anal warts, and his dog gave it to another dog, and it's actually now kind of spreading, and it is actually contagious with humans. So when this anal wart outbreak goes down, you know who to blame.
Oh,
Skip
my
Bayless.
God.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's all factual.
People have been spreading that one?
Yeah.
Holy
Big time.
Lord. That's
Anal
crazy.
warts everywhere.
Oh, man. The one I heard that I kind of believe was that and no one knows it was wrong place, wrong time, but he had an outstanding warrant for a robbery at one point.
Oh, wow.
But all they had was surveillance footage. And so the Skip on that surveillance footage isn't who we see today. Actual Skip, and I know he'll produce, like, this is my yearbook photo and things like that, but these have all been photoshopped. Actual Skip had a way different nose, way different chin. He saved up enough money at the time, had a buddy that was going into plastic surgery, and said, give me the Aikman. And he was going to try to make himself look like a doppelganger of Aikman. To be like, that wasn't me in the surveillance footage. Look at me, I look just like Aikman. But his buddy just botched it, and that's why he has the crazy weird eyebrows now that always are like arched up. That was like the faux Aikman, and that's where his hatred of Aikman originated from. It was a true love initially, and then the surgery just went so badly that now he just hates him.
Wow.
Yeah.
You heard it here first, folks. Thanks for sharing that. Thanks
Sure,
for putting
man.
your neck out on the line.
Well, that's just something I heard. I definitely don't. I don't even know if I believe it, but those eyebrows are weird.
They are. Before I let you go, you're going to be in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
This comes out tomorrow, so you'll
Yeah.
be there tomorrow through Saturday, right?
Yep.
What's the name of the club?
14th through 18th. Rumors.
Rumors. All right. Check them out there. It's going to be negative 100 degrees.
It's going to be chilly. I'd love to see you there.
And also, you got a fun show coming up here, right, in Los Angeles?
January 26th at the Dynasty Typewriter. Yeah, I would love to have a crowd out. Gonna film it. I'm cutting my hair. I've got a suit. It's gonna be quite an undertaking.
Dave in a suit. This I gotta see.
Yeah, buddy.
I'll be in Sacramento the 23rd through the 25th, 6th. And I'm coming back, or 26th, because I'm coming back for your...
Oh, yeah. Nice.
I performed through the 25th. I'm going to come back for that show. You can watch me, watch him. Also, those Burrito for President 2020 shirts are up on DougMiller.com. Check it out. Thanks for being on, dude. That was super fun.
Thanks for having me, buddy. Go Niners.
Yeah. No.
Well, you said yeah. It's too late.
All right. Till next week. Laters.